There were some good ones. For example, I met the person who helped me land the voiceover of that Johnny Walker ad when I picked him up for an Uber ride. There was, of course, that one chick who made the mandatory joke about getting a different kind of ride, and he puts that ride in quotation marks, but I think we all understand what he means. So there was, of course, that one chick who made the mandatory joke about getting a different kind of ride in addition to the Uber ride. She did not get what she was looking for. There was a lady who was going to visit slash fight her in-laws somewhere in Ogun State border. Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, you know, one of those I would have loved to thoughts, those lazy thoughts that we have at the back of our minds. I would have loved to have been this. I would have loved to have done that. We all have these thoughts, this I would have loved to thoughts. One of my I would have loved to thoughts is to be an Uber driver on the streets of Lagos for at least 1 week, for no other reason other than to just get a feel of the tempo of the city as it stands at that moment. So I would have loved to have driven an Uber vehicle on the streets of Lagos for 1 week. I wouldn't even charge the passengers any fare. I'll just take them from their point to their destination and have that interaction with them just to get a feel of the tempo of Lagos. So now here is that experience now being narrated by an Uber driver from Lagos. As guys, I bring you this. Gender doesn't matter. Almost everyone is rude. Former Uber driver narrates his experience with passengers. So as I said, an Uber driver from Lagos, he's now obviously giving up that job to go on to something else, but he's now come onto the internet space to narrate his experience whilst he was an Uber driver. So the headline again: gender doesn't matter, almost everyone is rude. Former Uber driver narrates his experience with passengers. So now let's now see now what the fella has to say. A former Uber driver has narrated his experience with passengers after an argument began on the platform that female passengers are more rude than male passengers. A man went on Twitter to claim that he had an Uber ride with a female driver, and the woman complained to him about how rude female passengers are. He concluded that even women are complaining about their gender. This led to an argument as people debated his tweets. Reacting, Max of Lagos, a former Uber driver, said gender doesn't matter and it depends on the individual. I was an Uber driver for a few months in Lagos, he wrote, adding, gender doesn't matter, almost everyone is rude. He then went on to narrate some encounters he had with riders. So now here is now the experience that we want to get into. I was an Uber driver for a few months in Lagos. Gender doesn't matter, almost everyone is rude. I noticed a pattern. The worst of them tended to be the ones who definitely cannot afford the car. Reason unclear, cause you'd expect they'd appreciate the value more. Also, almost everyone is apparently unable to read and understand the meaning. Your driver is completing a trip nearby. I'm sure it sounds like a simple concept now when you read it, but it really does escape most people. Always amusing and somewhat embarrassing when someone starts out very rude and by the end of the trip they are asking if they can save your number to discuss business, and he puts that business in quotation marks, or some other such thing. There were some good ones. For example, I met the person who helped me land the voiceover of that Johnny Walker ad when I picked him up for an Uber ride. There was, of course, that one chick who made the mandatory joke about getting a different kind of ride, and he puts that ride in quotation marks, but I think we all understand what he means. So there was, of course, that one chick who made the mandatory joke about getting a different kind of ride in addition to the Uber ride. She did not get what she was looking for. There was a lady who was going to visit slash fight our in-laws somewhere in Ogun State border. Very lucrative and entertaining trip. She brought snacks. The fight ended in a victory for us, and everyone was home before sundown. 10 out of 10. Generally, people are surprised to find that their Uber car is an SUV, and then further surprised when they hear me speak. Interestingly, they almost always assume the reason I was driving was that I was down on my luck. One person actually tried to buy the car. That was quite strange. I once picked up a group of university kids from Ibadan who were here for a beach party. What I found interesting about them is how incredibly respectful they were. Confirmation that only Lagos people don't have sense. Driving in the Chevron/Ogungi area really exposed me to the internet fraud community, and I found it interesting how established they are and the remarkably ordinary nature of their lives. We often imagine them to be like those guys the FBI arrest. Not always the case. That last tweet isn't an endorsement of fraud, just pointing out that they don't all live flashy lives. Based on my observations, it is still a crime. The foreigners I pick up were also interesting. There was a Syrian guy who barely spoke a lick of English and believed that he could make it as a mechanic in Nigeria. I followed up, and he now runs a restaurant owned by another Syrian. There was an Italian lady who thought that Nigeria was hopeless because she believed young people are just as corrupt as the older people who currently run the country. We didn't get to explore that further, but it was curious that it came from a foreigner who lives here. Fellow from Taiwan who thought Nigerian rich business potentials but always got lazy and chose to do things that everyone else was already doing rather than being innovative. He learnt this in 15 years of doing business here. I did not disagree. Too lazy to think about more, so I am going to pause here. So this is now, of course, the experiences of an Uber driver just interacting with his passengers. So just from what you get from what this guy has to say is clearly, and I'm saying clearly, obviously from the way he's written this and the way he has presented himself, he's presenting as a fairly well-educated person with a fairly decent car who then interacts with passengers and is sometimes incredulous at some of the experiences that he encounters in the course of his day. So he's encountered obviously a lot of foreigners because of course Uber is used internationally. So when people are traveling to Nigeria or anywhere else in the world even, they make sure that their Uber account is fully active so that they can then use that as their trusted taxi service within whatever location they're in, and Nigeria is no exception. So he's narrated now experiences with a Taiwanese, an Italian person, etc., a Syrian even. I didn't even know we had Syrians in Nigeria, but then of course Nigeria is fast turning into and is even now an international place, especially places like the Niger Delta region, Port Harcourt, etc., Lagos certainly, and Abuja definitely. So these are international cities. So forget Nigeria. These are international people. You get the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Syrians now, Italians, etc. Everybody, even the Taiwanese are there, and of course the Chinese now are just pumping their people into the Nigeria. So an international city, and the Uber driver, of course, then gets the front seat to experience then the changes and the dynamics that is now taking place within that geographical space. So that is why I said it is one of my I would have loved to sort of go-to things. So what would you have loved to do, or what are your secret desires? This is really what this video is all about, secret desires. I've just said now that one of mine is to be an Uber driver in Nigeria for at least a week or two, just to get a feel of the tempo of the city of Lagos. So come share secret thoughts with me in the comment section. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray the bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Click on that as well. Click on the like button as well, because that helps with the YouTube algorithm. Once you've done the clickings, come into the comment section, then let's talk secret desires. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.